Hey, we're moving on with personalities here, and we're now looking at the phlegmatic personality. Now, remember, every personality has strengths and weaknesses. There's none superior than the other. In fact, it's the blend of personalities that actually really brings out the best in people, or sometimes conflict in people, depending on whether or not you're living in your strengths or living in your weaknesses. So, as you go through this and you start noticing, like, man, I have this weakness or that weakness, those are things to work on. Becoming a better person is working on your weaknesses that may be innate to you. Maybe if you have impatience as something, as it's innate because of who your personality is, you're working on that will make you a better person. So, all right. So we're looking at phlegmatic personality. They're very unassuming, which means that they don't necessarily draw attention to themselves. When they enter a room or in a group, they're agreeable. They're easy to get along with. They're not trying to push their own way. They're empathic, empathetic. I mean, so in terms of toward other people and their problems, they're warm and they're cooperative. They work well in groups. They trust others. They're considerate. So these are just like phlegmatic people. They're just nice people. Like you like them. So they're kind of people person, and what they're best known for is peacefulness. They're just calm, and at least on the outside, they appear calm, and you just have to like them. All right, so let's go through and look at this. All right, so we're looking at the personality, phlegmatic personality, and so the thing that makes them that them, the quote that we use here is "Let's relax." So if the sanguines, it's what let's have fun. With the choleric, it's let's get moving and accomplish things. But with the phlegmatic, it's let's relax. So they're patient and calm. That's a strength. And so if you just know someone who's just like very calm and it's just easy to get along with. That's them. All right, easygoing. Again, that kind of same idea. Easy to get along with. They get along with other people. It's just great. Inoffensive. Like a phlegmatic's not ever looking for a fight. In fact, they avoid conflict. Sometimes in almost every case, and to the point where sometimes they need conflict and they avoid it, and that's a problem where they're scared that conflict will happen, so therefore they avoid it. They don't want to deal with that, so there are inoffensive. On the strong side, they're not going to cause fights. They're not going to be the person who's super dramatic. The sanguines and the cholerics, now they're pretty dramatic. They'll often be in fights with people, especially the choleric side. But the phlegmatic, no way. They don't want to deal with fights. They don't want to. They don't want to fight with anybody, and they're a good listener. They're the person you can go to, and they'll listen. They're quiet. They're not trying to push themselves on you. They're not trying to be they get their way all the time. So they're a real nice person to sit and have a conversation with. Clerics and sanguines often have phlegmatic friends because otherwise no one would deal with them. I can say that as a choleric sanguine. All right. A weakness though, they do avoid conflict, as I said, and sometimes that's bad because they avoid dealing with things and they'll push it off because they're afraid it might lead to conflict. Um, they also can seem lazy. Like the choleric is like, let's get up and go and do things. And the phlegmatic, they just do. They generally do not have a sense of urgency. To be completely blunt, I mean, they can be a little slow. They're just like, yeah, it's nice that it's important for you to do it right now, but you know what? I'll do it later. In fact, that's the next negative is that they are really bad procrastinators. Now, by the way, let me be clear about this. All of us procrastinate probably to some extent, and it's that we procrastinate about things we don't like. Like even cholerics, as much as they check off the box and want to get things done, like they might not. They might procrastinate at things that they don't like. So that's different. This is more like just as a general theme of life that runs through every aspect of life. There is a procrastination and a slowness about doing anything, whereas a choleric is it can be very motivated about things that they care about. And another weakness is change, man. I mean, phlegmatics like routine. They want it to be the same all the time. And they're actually someone who likes it, like life just being the same all the time. That's actually a really positive thing for them. So they dislike change with a passion. So that's something that is a real problem for them. They don't like big changes or moving or doing anything. They'd rather just stay exactly what it is and with what they're used to. Okay, let's move on to the melancholy. The melancholy personality is really organized. They are very particular. So one of their strengths is that are they're careful, they're loyal, they're respectful, they're orderly, they're persistent. If you look at this bedroom right here, you see how clean and neat it is. This just looks like a melancholy bedroom. Everything has a place, and a place is where you'll find it. Whereas if it was a sanguine, even choleric. I mean, it's who knows. A choleric room might be organized, but messy organized. Sanguine room and a phlegmatic room is probably just a disaster zone. Sanguine because it's not fun to clean up, and like phlegmatic, it's not cleaned up because they don't want to pick it up. They're just too lazy. And so they're relaxing. They don't have time to fool with that. So a melancholy though, they have to have order. That's like the most important thing. So that's really important. Okay, so that said, detail oriented is one of the strengths. They will take care of the details. They're the person who's going to make sure that you know what the appointment is, that you have your homework, that you have your lists, that you're done. This is the parent who's got make sure that you organize everything perfectly. They also are organized and neat. Their bedroom is clean. It's not a disaster zone. They're compassionate. They have deep feelings and empathy toward others. Very, very deeply compassionate people toward others, um, and because of that, they're often very creative, and I mean creative in a artistic way, musically as well. Now, a sanguine may like music or art, but from more of a performative, and everybody look at me and what I've done sort of way. But a melancholy would like it from a deep feelings sort of way, like the meaning of it. They really like that kind of really deep sort of stuff. So they're very deep people. But there's some weaknesses that go with it. Melancholy's based on just the definition of melancholy. Melancholy, by the way, means sad. Melancholies often have a low self-image of themselves, and so they really struggle with that. Whereas a sanguine, cholerics, I mean, they think that they're pretty awesome. Frankly, they're pretty confident. They bounce back quickly. Melancholies are much more likely to have a very a low self image, and easily depressed. Actually, easily depressed. And then they're pessimists. I'm not even gonna say kind of pessimists. I mean, they are pessimists. They assume the worst. They're distrustful of people. Sanguines are like the most gullible people in the world. They trust everybody, even people they shouldn't trust. But a melancholy is distrustful of people that they should trust. So they assume the worst is going to happen. That's very pessimistic of them. And often another weakness of a melancholy is like sometimes they don't get things done because they spend so much time planning because it has to be perfect. There's a perfectionism with melancholies that happens, and that's why they're depressed, by the way, because they have this perfect view of the world and it doesn't happen. So then they get depressed because of that. But sometimes at like work or school, a project, they spend so much time planning that they don't actually get anything done. And so that can be a real hindrance and negative aspect of the melancholy personality. Okay, now you need to study this um, because there's a sort where you have to sort all four of these personalities together. So you might want to go and practice the choleric and sanguine one from the last time, just to make sure you got those down well, and then study the phlegmatic melancholy, and then you're going to put all four of them together. All right, awesome. Thanks. Hopefully you found this interesting. Maybe you've seen yourself in a couple of these, one or two of these personalities. Take care. Bye.